based on how many kids read at grade level, looking at third grade reading data, determine how many prison beds they're going to need to build. So currently, about 2 in 10 of our Black and brown students are reading at grade level across the city of Oakland, and it's about 1 in 10 in math. So it makes me so nervous because I think, what are all the careers out there? You know, how are you successful in college or career if you can't bring your proficiency up to grade level? When I go to a board meeting, it is so rare that you actually hear, how are students doing? Pro-immigrant, they're embracing, they want everyone to succeed, but our actions as leaders need to line up to that. And when we are leaving 80% of our Black and brown students behind and out of reading at grade level, those actions don't match up with the words.
Is it the different schools?
There's a lot of correlation. If you put our proficiency, one thing that we did to really motivate the parents was show them, if you map out the schools in the city, just geographically on a map, you can see more of almost all the schools that are green schools where there's a lot of proficiency, they're in the higher income.
Some of the grades that kids are getting, they cannot be trusted. Is that common in the school system now?
This is a national issue right now that's really being flagged in the national media. Parents across our country overestimate how well their kids are doing in school. This tells us something is broken within our education system in the way that we're communicating with parents. We can have kids be straight A students, complete their A through G requirements. They get to college and all of their classes are remedial because when they take the college placement tests, they are not at a college level. So this is happening constantly, and it's actually one of the reasons that first-generation kids, low-income kids of color who get to college don't stay in college because it's so detrimental, embarrassing, shameful. I felt that when I got to college and I couldn't do the work. It's such an assault kind of on your self-esteem when you get there and you can't even write an essay that is a passing essay in your English class, right, at a college level. So we have this huge disconnect between these grades that are getting sent home and the actual proficiency level. To actually share the data for Black and brown students that just about under 50% were eligible to apply to a college. And kids, their minds were blown. They said, we had no idea. How come nobody told us this? I got to go talk to my cousin who goes to this other school where they have really low A through G rates. I got to tell him and make sure he's getting into the right classes so that he won't be left out of being able to apply to college. Absolutely. I remember a student with really severe disabilities who came into our school in kindergarten. His doctor said, look, he's just really not going to be able to learn very much. You know, we're just going to integrate him so he can have a good experience in school. We partnered as a team. We worked so closely with that family as we worked with the medical staff that he had. That kid soared. He was reading on grade level by first grade. He astounded everybody. And, you know, that was a case where we know we can make a difference. A report shows if schools in Oakland continue improving at the rate that they're improving at, it's going to take 4 generations for kids to be at grade level. A report shows if schools in Oakland continue improving at the rate that they're improving at, it's going to take 4 generations for kids to be at grade level.
And now, in terms of the funding,
sure,
I've always been puzzled because the funding amount we are spending in California is almost $23,000, a little bit more than $23,000 per kid per year, which used to be $10,000
right,
like 10 years ago or 12 years ago per kid per year.
Yeah.
So we have invested a lot more in the public education. What's going on with the funding?
Yeah.
Where does it go?
Part of what California is doing right now is really embracing a community schools model where it's not just the academic needs that are attended to in the school, right? There's social emotional supports, there's mental health supports, there's even health clinics in our schools. There's a great new model of linked learning where kids are getting career internships when they're in high school, they're doing work-based learning.
While we're having the issue with proficiency,
Correct.
while we're not doing the basics.
Correct. But in schools where we have very few students and we choose to keep those schools open, they're not able to provide a robust program. It's kind of like the bare bones, the skeleton. And we end up supplementing, right, from the general fund to keep those schools open. This is at a huge cost to our kids. Every year that we have schools where kids are, where the vast majority, 80-90% of the kids are not reading at grade level, 50% of the kids aren't reading at grade level, there's such a cost that's borne by every student in that school and every family in that school. What we're saying is we probably need a different structure for our schools, to not have all these tiny schools that are just barely kind of getting the doors open every day and not having the kind of robust supports and programs that really make a school vibrant and successful.
And the messaging is about how the schools are going to help the low-income families and Black and brown kids. Is it just talk? Is it not really happening?
There's a fundamental tension and disconnect where I hear so many of these progressive values stated all the time about how people are, pro-Black, pro-immigrant, they're embracing, they want everyone to succeed, but our actions as leaders need to line up to that. And when we are leaving 80% of our Black and brown students behind and out of reading at grade level, those actions don't match up with the words. We